Welcome to Creative Tien channel. Today we have our first loom knitting project in this channel. We are going to make a hat with pom-pom and a neck warmer or a cowl with gradient color combination. First, we have to know different types of loom. The basic loom includes a bulky gauge and a standard gauge. For the neck warmer, I use the medium gauge. That's the KB brand loom, and I picked the one for the woman's head size. And you can use worsted weight yarn for this type of loom. The spacing of the peg is about 3/8 of an inch. I use the 72 peg loom for the KB loom. That's the white one for standard adult woman hat. And it's also perfect for adult neck warmer or kids neck warmer. For the hat, I use a Darcy brand. I have 36 pack for the chunky weight yarn loom. And you will need a bulky yarn. If you don't have bulky yarn, you can hold 2 strands of the worst weight yarn or the medium weight yarn. And that's how I did in the hat knitting. So both hat and the neck warmer starts the same. First, I put a rubber band down to mark the beginning of the stitch. And you can start with a slip knot and start wrapping the yarn. Make sure the line of the yarn is in the inside of the loom and the loop is on the outside. That way it's easier for you to knit. You can wrap to the right or to the left, it doesn't matter. And you wrap around the whole loom and then you come back to the first needle. You can wrap individually, one by one, the same type of the wrapping. And use your pick to pick up the stitches below and go over the first loop and go over the peg. And then one stitch is knitted. And you just keep repeating the same all around the loom. That's the easiest way of loom knitting. And you just continue until you need to change the yarn. Then just cut the old yarn and tie a knot with the new yarn. And try to keep the knot as low as possible so it's close to the knitting. You can tie it twice so it's more secure. Or you can always tie a simple knot, and after we're done with everything, you can open the knot and weave in the ends to make it look nicer. And then we just continue wrapping and knitting. A quicker way to knit is to wrap the whole loom first for the whole round all at once. Now I have 2 loops on each peg, then I can start knitting by picking up the bottom loop and go over the top. And then go to the back of the peg. This way it knits faster, but you have to be careful about the tension. If you wrap it too tight, it can be very tight. So as any type of knitting, you have to be careful about tension, not too tight, not too loose. And here is my daughter trying to knit, and she's having fun knitting the hat. And again, here is the color changing. You can just tie a knot, and we can always untie it after the project is done and then decide how to weave in the end to make it look nice. So make sure you leave a tail so you have more choice later. And I always tie double knots just to make sure it's secure. And after the length you like, we can start bind off. Here's the simple bind off. You wrap the second stitch first and then knit that second stitch and take off the stitch and place it back to the first stitch. My yarn is very splitty, so it's a little bit difficult for me to work. And then we will knit the first stitch and then place the yarn back to the second stitch. And we just keep repeating the process again and again. Now the second stitch is the first stitch. We just wrap around the second needle and knit it and place the stitch back to the first needle and knit it, and then place it back to the second needle. And then we start over again. Wrap the second stitch and then knit the second stitch, and then place the yarn back to the first stitch and knit the first stitch, and then place the yarn back to the second stitch, second needle. And we keep repeating until the end. Then you can take off the whole project of the loom. Then weave in the ends for the yarn ends inside when you change the color. You can also use a crochet hook if it's easier for you. The head works the same way as the neck warmer, except the top. I knit about 9 inches tall for the neck warmer, and it's also about 9 inches for the head. It's up to you and depends on who is going to wear it. And for the top of the head, I just take the project of the needle with the long circular needle and hand knit it, dividing it into 4 sections, and try to have a knit 2 together every other rows until the last few rows, and then tie it up and weave in the end. You can also cut a piece of yarn and just thread it through a big eye needle and thread it through every stitch to take it off the loom first, and then just tighten it. It will be a little more bulky on the top. I will try to link a video of that in the description below. And the last thing is to make a pom-pom on the top of the head. It's optional, but it completes a gradient look. The easiest way I use is simply wrap the yarn around something sturdy. You can use a cardboard or your hand, and I'm just using my ruler that's about 4 inches wide. It makes a pretty big pom-pom. We are going to trim it after we wrap it, so it's nice to be a little bit bigger. I like my pom-pom to be fuller, so I keep wrapping until the fullness I like. And then I just cut a piece of contrasting yarn and tied it up in the middle. And make sure you tie it very tightly. You probably need to do it several times to make sure it's tight so it doesn't fall apart. And always do a double knot to secure it. And after that, you can use a scissor to just cut open all the loops and start trimming to make it look like a big ball. It's going to make a little mess, but I think this is the easiest way for me to make a pom-pom. Now it's done, we just need to attach it to the top of the head. And since we have 2 strings of yarn below, it's easy to just use a crochet hook and pull the yarn through the underside of the head and then tie a knot. Tie a knot twice to make it a double knot, so it's more secure. And then we can weave in the yarn end. You can weave in the yarn end in a circular shape so it hides better. So that's the final project. A head with pom-pom and a matching neck warmer. Thank you for watching and happy loom knitting.